He moved faster than anyone in Hollywood had ever seen. Liquid violence. Precision so clean it made other martial arts stars look like they were fighting underwater. For a brief moment in the early 2000s, Jet Li was everywhere. Posters, billboards, magazine covers. Then he vanished. No scandal, no controversy. Just gone. What Hollywood won't tell you is that they didn't simply let him go. They pushed him out. This story begins in 1963. Beijing, China. A tiny apartment where Li Lianjie entered a world that gave him very little. His father died when he was 2 years old, leaving his mother to raise 5 children alone in crushing poverty. Some days they had less than nothing. His mother worked herself to exhaustion just to keep them alive, and young Lianjie watched every moment of her suffering. At 8 years old, the boy found his escape. The Beijing wushu team was recruiting, and Li Lianjie walked into that training hall like he was walking into salvation. Wushu, Chinese martial arts, wasn't just about fighting. It was gymnastics, dance, combat, and discipline forged into something that looked like magic when executed well. And this poor kid from the wrong side of Beijing was a natural. Within months, coaches were whispering about him. Within a year, he was dominating competitions against children twice his age. By 11, he became the youngest national champion in Chinese wushu history, not just in his age group, but overall. He beat adults. Then he did it again the next year, and the next. 5 consecutive national championships before he turned 16. His speed defied physics. His precision made seasoned masters shake their heads in disbelief. The Chinese government noticed. In 1974, they sent him to perform for President Nixon during the historic U.S. visit. Nixon watched this young martial artist move and allegedly said, "You're so good. Why don't you become my bodyguard?" The boy, just 11 years old, looked at the most powerful man in the Western world and replied, "I don't want to protect any individual. When I grow up, I want to protect all 1.3 billion Chinese people." That response became legend in China. It showed confidence, national pride, and a spirit that Hollywood would later try desperately to break. In 1982, director Zhang Xinyan cast a 19-year-old wushu champion in Shaolin Temple, a kung fu film that would change Chinese cinema forever. The movie cost almost nothing to make, but exploded across China like a cultural bomb. Box office records shattered. Suddenly, everyone wanted to learn kung fu. Shaolin Temple became the 3rd highest-grossing film in Chinese history, and Li Lianjie became a household name overnight. He changed his stage name to Jet Li, simpler, sharper, more international, and kept making films. Once Upon a Time in China in 1991 made him a legitimate superstar across Asia. Playing Wong Fei Hung, the legendary Chinese folk hero, Jet Li delivered fight choreography so clean and technically perfect that martial arts historians still study those sequences today. He made 5 films in that series, each cementing his status as the premier martial arts actor of his generation. But Jet Li wanted more. He looked at Jackie Chan conquering Hollywood in the 90s with Rush Hour and felt something burning inside him. Jackie was a brilliant physical comedian and stuntman, but Jet Li was a 5-time national champion with technique that made masters weep. If Jackie could become a Hollywood star, why couldn't he? In 1998, producer Joel Silver, the man behind Die Hard and The Matrix, needed a villain for Lethal Weapon 4. Not just any villain. Someone who could make audiences genuinely believe he could kill Mel Gibson and Danny Glover. Silver had seen Jet Li's Hong Kong films, watched him move with supernatural speed, and made a phone call that would change everything. Jet Li arrived in Hollywood speaking broken English, but his audition needed no words. He moved, and everyone in the room forgot to breathe. Director Richard Donner cast him immediately as Hua Sing-ku, a ruthless triad assassin with maybe 20 lines of dialogue. It didn't matter. When Lethal Weapon 4 pulled in over $285 million worldwide, audiences left the theater asking one question: who was that Chinese guy? Hollywood noticed. Within months, Warner Brothers offered Jet Li to lead in Romeo Must Die, a modern Shakespeare retelling set against warring Chinese and African-American crime families. Paired with R&B superstar Aaliyah, backed by a $40 million budget. This was supposed to be his moment. Romeo Must Die opened to $25 million, and earned over $90 million worldwide. Critics called the fight choreography revolutionary. This was art, precise, lethal, beautiful. Nothing like the comedic chaos of Jackie Chan or the muscle-bound brawling of Van Damme and Seagal. The problem started immediately. Warner Brothers marketed Jet Li as the next Jackie Chan, and he hated it. In interviews, he tried to explain the difference. Jackie is a comedian who does martial arts. I am a martial artist who sometimes does comedy. Hollywood doesn't listen to that kind of nuance. Hollywood sees categories, boxes, formulas. Asian martial artist equals Jackie Chan clone. End of discussion. Still, the momentum carried him forward. Kiss of the Dragon in 2001 gave him more creative control, violent, stylish, and uncompromising. It made over $50 million worldwide on a modest budget. He bought a house in Los Angeles, brought his family, signed a multi-picture deal. At 38 years old, he believed he'd finally broken through. Then 2002 brought Hero, directed by Zhang Yimou, and for a brief moment Jet Li touched immortality. This wasn't a Hollywood production. It was Chinese cinema at its most ambitious. A visually stunning meditation on sacrifice, loyalty, and the cost of peace. Jet Li played a nameless warrior attempting to assassinate the king of Qin, and the film's color-coded fight sequences became instant classics. Quentin Tarantino loved it so much he helped distribute it in America through Miramax. When it received a wide U.S. release in 2004, Hero became the first Chinese-language film to top the American box office. Over $53 million domestic and $177 million worldwide. But while Hero was building his artistic credibility, Hollywood was already putting him in a cage. The one in 2001 cast him as multiple versions of himself across parallel universes, a science fiction concept with real potential. The movie made $43 million domestically. Not terrible, but not the breakout Columbia Pictures expected. Then came Cradle to the Grave in 2003, and the writing was on the wall. The plot was nonsense. The dialogue was worse. Jet Li was given maybe 30 lines for the entire film. It made $56 million worldwide on a $25 million budget. Profitable but forgettable. And that was exactly the problem. Jet Li was being profitable enough to keep getting work, but not explosive enough to demand better roles. Hollywood had figured out the formula. Cast a Chinese guy in mid-budget action films with hip-hop stars or white leads. Give him minimal dialogue to hide his accent. Let him fight. Collect money. Repeat. Meanwhile, Jackie Chan was getting Rush Hour 3. Chow Yun-fat was starring alongside Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean. Roles that gave them personality, humor, three-dimensional characters. Jet Li got Unleashed in 2005, where he played a man raised like a dog by a gangster. The film was actually good, with real emotional weight. It barely got a theatrical release in America. Straight to video in most markets. The whispers in Hollywood grew louder. Jet Li was difficult. His English wasn't good enough. He didn't test well with focus groups. Too serious. Not funny like Jackie. Too small compared to Dwayne Johnson. Too foreign compared to Jason Statham. Every excuse in the book, and none of them were the real reason. The real reason was something he couldn't control. His body was breaking down. In 2006, while filming Fearless, publicly announced as his final martial arts film, something went wrong during a fight scene. His back seized so severely the crew had to carry him off set. Doctors revealed what years of wushu training, hundreds of fights, and thousands of stunts without modern safety equipment had done to his spine. His vertebrae were compressed, discs herniated, nerves pinched. Some days he could barely walk. Then came the diagnosis that would end his action career permanently. Hyperthyroidism. His thyroid gland was producing excessive hormones, throwing his entire metabolism into chaos. Heart palpitations, rapid weight loss, fatigue so crushing he'd sleep 12 hours and wake up exhausted. Muscle weakness in a man whose muscles had been his livelihood since childhood. Hollywood found out, and everything changed overnight. Insurance companies either refused to cover him or demanded premiums so high that studios couldn't justify the cost. This is the part nobody talks about, the cold business reality behind every Hollywood career. If you can't get insured, you can't get hired. Doesn't matter how talented you are. Doesn't matter how many fans you have. The insurance company says no, and you're done. The Forbidden Kingdom in 2008 paired him with Jackie Chan for the first time. Two legends, one movie. But on set, everyone could see Jet Li struggling. Stunts that once took one take now took 5, then 10. Jackie, 5 years older, was running circles around him. The film made $128 million worldwide, but critics and fans both noticed. Jet Li looked slow, tired, like a faded copy of himself. The viral videos comparing his fights in Once Upon a Time in China to his fights in Forbidden Kingdom were devastating. Same man, different body. Time had caught up to the warrior, and it wasn't kind. The Expendables in 2010 seemed like a perfect solution. Stallone assembling every action star over 40 for a nostalgic celebration. Jet Li wouldn't have to carry the film. He'd just show up, deliver some kicks, remind audiences why they loved him. But Stallone barely used him. He appeared for maybe 10 minutes in the first film, got a slightly larger role in the second, then essentially vanished from the third. The insurance costs for his stunts were astronomical. Stallone gave his screen time to younger, healthier action stars. Jet Li later admitted in Chinese interviews that the experience hurt him deeply. I trained my entire life to be the best martial artist possible. I won 5 national championships. I made films that inspired millions. And in the end, Hollywood treated me like I was disposable. Disposable. From a man who had been anything but disposable to Chinese cinema for 3 decades. Buddhism had always been part of Jet Li's life. In the mid-2000s, it became his entire life, not as an escape from failure, as a deliberate choice to prioritize meaning over fame. The turning point came in 2004. He was in the Maldives with his family when the Indian Ocean tsunami struck, killing over 230,000 people. They escaped by minutes, watching from higher ground as the ocean swallowed everything below. People died feet away from him. Children swept away while parents screamed. The randomness of survival shook something fundamental in his understanding of existence. He came back from that trip changed, started reading Buddhist philosophy seriously, studied with monks, realized that everything he'd been chasing, fame, money, legacy, was smoke, impermanent. He'd spent his entire life building a body that was now falling apart and a career that Hollywood was ready to forget. In 2007, he founded One Foundation, focused on disaster relief and poverty alleviation across China. He poured millions of his own money into it. When the Sichuan earthquake devastated China in 2008, killing over 69,000 people, Jet Li was there within days. While other celebrities tweeted condolences, he was in the rubble. His foundation raised over 100 million yuan for relief efforts. Chinese media started calling him a bodhisattva, treating him not as an action star, but as a humanitarian warrior.